Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to make the final adjustments on the bike, how to set the display settings, which is kind of crucial, and how to turn on your dual motors versus single motor. So let's get this started. Well, the first thing you do once you assemble your bike is to check the air pressure. The air pressure is not exactly set correctly. It's usually a little bit low, so set it to 20 pounds per square inch. That's what FUCARE recommends, and I've rolled it with 20 and 25. I like the 20 pounds per square inch better. Next thing, once you set this handlebar to your liking, as far as adjusting backwards, forwards, according to the way you seat. Mentioned before, you want to have your wrist pretty much straight. You don't want to go like this or like this. You can roll out your wrist. Now, when you're holding it like this, your palm naturally is aimed down. So your palm wants to rest on this, which is fine, but the palm should not be resting heavily on it. It should be just lightly brushing it. Because if you rest down heavily, over time it's just going to wear out your palm. It's best to wear gloves anyway, that's gel gloves, but these are pretty spongy anyway, which is good. But yeah, you just want it just lightly touching this thing. So when you're riding this, it's giving you just a little bit of support. A second thing on the handlebar is when you pull on the brakes, if you're feeling that you're pulling too far down, you could adjust these knobs so that they adjust the amount of pressure you need on the brakes. So this one's fine, so that quarter pull, your full brakes. So I just want to point that out on the handlebars. Next thing, once you do that, you're going to have to adjust these accessories also, because if you lean it forward, naturally all your accessories are leaning too far forward. You have to loosen these things up and adjust it so that it's in the right angle for you. Next thing is the seat height. As I said before, adjust it so that the seat height is at your hip level, so that when you're sitting on a bike, you want to be at tippy toe. This is a little bit high for me because it's for my wife's. I'm 5'5", but if it's close enough, I could drop the seat down maybe another half an inch or so. This way, if you set the seat and you're flat-footed, what happens is that the pedal is a few inches off the ground, and when you start to pedal the bike, you're not getting a full extension of your legs, if that makes sense. And as I mentioned before, if you tighten down your seat and it's still loose, you have to tighten down the screw here to adjust your clamp pressure. Also, if you're on the shorter side, let's say you're 5'2", or even less, if you drop the seat post all the way down, you won't be able to use the reflector. So the reflector has to be mounted in a different way. It's actually attached to the seat post. Now, I found this attachment that came with package, and this looks like it's meant for the reflector if you want to mount it to the bike frame. It looks like the reflector will slide within those grooves. I don't know, I haven't tried it, but kind of looks like that's what it's for. Okay, also, after you finish assembling your bike, remember I told you to keep your skins kind of loose. You're going to have to adjust your fender, so if it's rubbing on one side, just move them around and tighten the bolt nuts so that it's somewhat aligned so you're not rubbing on the side. After you ride the bike for, I say, about 20 miles or so and you get familiar with the bike, take a moment to re-torque the bolts because they may loosen up when you're driving it for the first time. And when you torque them up, pay attention to the 4 bolts that hold the wheels on. That's the most important ones. And then I think handlebar bolts is one check next because you don't want these things to move on you. Just tighten them down, make sure that it's tight. Now another thing that we have to go over is this has a full BMX fork on it. So there's 2 adjustments here. And if you're first time bicycle rider, you may be kind of confused what this does. This is your compression. So most bike is just lock and unlock. That means it locks up the fork so it doesn't move, which is great for on road racing and all that. And on bumpy roads, you want to loosen it up so that it's very easy to move the shocks. That's what this is setting for. So we have it pretty much almost wide open because, our roads kind of here is kind of bumpy out here and we want a nice cushy ride. But if you're going to go on off-roading a lot and you're a heavy person, you may want to increase your compression because if it got too springy and cushy, what happens is that your fork is going to bottom out and you may cause damage to the fork or to the frame. So you have to adjust this according to your weight and your cargo and what type of roads you'll be riding on. Kind of confusing, but keep playing around with it until you get the right setting, a good balance between springiness and support. Now on this other side is what we call preload. Now a lot of bike manufacturers tell you that you can use this to adjust the cushioniness of the spring itself. Think of this as a spring on your rear of your car. So you got the shock and springs. What this does is that it makes the springs stiffer or looser. So this does not affect the shock damping or moving up and down. This affects the stiffness of the spring. So the way you adjust this is on this side, if you notice that on this fork we have an O-ring. And this O-ring you push down here. It's just going to tell you what the measurements are. Now what you do is that you get on a bike and what this preload is going to do is going to cause what's called sag. Then you want to sit on a bike, you want to pretend like you're biking, and you want to push down like you're riding on a bike. You want to sag, and then you can measure the distance here between here and this. That's what tells you to sag. So if you push down hard on it, see? Now you got the measurement. So you want your sag to be between 25 and 30% of the total length. Then it's perfect. If it's less, you know, you got to open it up. If it's too much, then you got to tighten it down. So that's how you just preload. And that preload is to the rider's rate and the cargo that they're using. Basically the rate is how much pressure you're putting down on the handlebars going over bumps. Hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of confusing, but I think you get the idea. Just make sure that this is between 25 and 30% of the total travel length. Okay, now we're through with the front shock adjustments. Now let's go to the rear. Now you're gonna have to adjust these wheel shocks. Two little nubs here. You just turn it to loosen it or to tighten it. Now if you use a channel lock ply on this, you can start scratching it up. I use a cloth between the plier teeth, and it still scratches a bit, but that's fine. Now the way I have it set up, I'm under 135 pounds, so you can see we got about maybe 4 threads up on both sides, and that's just perfect for me. When I go out in the field, I can feel the back end moving and it's not bottoming out. If it bottoms out, that means you got it too loose, you got to tighten it up. Because once it bottoms out, you can damage your frame or the shocks itself. So you have to play around with it a bit. But that's the way I have mine set up. When it came from the factory, it was like 5 or 6 threads up higher, so that was too stiff for me, so I just dropped it down to my weight. Next thing, additional items they gave me were these plugs here. These things are for the nuts on the rear wheel. They says leave the front one exposed. So you just take this thing and twist it on and push it on. Now unfortunately they don't give you a derailleur guard. I wish they did. So you gotta be kind of careful about this. You don't want to drop the bike on this side because you could damage this. Now the only other thing that they gave you that they mentioned on assembly was these plugs here. So if you notice in your pack you had these plugs, and I had to figure out where did these plugs go. And then I saw that it fits right in there. Now the only other thing I've done with this bike is a coat of racks on it. So I use gray ceramic racks just to give it protection from the elements. Okay, now we're going to show you display setting, and this is what everybody's been waiting for, I guess. How to set your computer up for the best performance of this e-bike. Now this is something that you have to get into the menu system. You keep prying hands out naturally. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure the battery's on, then turn on the power. Okay, power's on. What's nice about the display is that they don't tell you that, but if you cycle through trip, odometer, maximum and average speed, if you keep toggling, it's going to tell you voltage and wattage, which is nice. A lot of displays won't tell you that. So. Okay, now when we fire up the display, you're going to see these orange bars that go up. Each bar tells you what power assist level you're in. We're on power assist level 5, so we're going to get 5 bars. And we're going to also test how fast this is going to go with no load. So, you see, okay, now we're at 5. $44 miles per hour, no load. Now if I go down to 4, see, 4 bars. Looks like on 4th power assist level we could hit 28 pounds. It's kind of interesting. 5 we could up to 42, 43, 44 miles per hour on power assist 5. Rear wheel drive only. So it's a pretty powerful motor. So I just want to point out the bars. It's kind of interesting. You can see the bars immediately to know what power assist level you are in without looking at that tiny number over there. It's kind of interesting. 44 miles per hour, no load. Okay, and most importantly, we're going to tell you how to set between back wheel drive and dual drive. Right now when it's flashing, that's tell you it's in back wheel drive only. Now to set that is you have to be in power assist 1 and above, not at 0. And then all you do, you see this power button? You just push it very lightly once. And now we're on dual motor. That's how you switch between dual motor and single motor. I couldn't find it nowhere. I had to contact FUCARE and they told me how. Because they haven't updated the manuals yet because this bike is so new and it's dual wheel drive, so they never had one before. And then you click on the power button again and we go back to back wheel drive. So pretty easy once you figure that out. Now we'll go on how to change the computer settings using the display. So the first thing you do is going to take the plus and minus button and hold on to it until this display changes. Okay, now we're into the menu mode so we can start playing around with the computer. It's got 7 parameters, so 7 things we could change. We're on parameter 1, or 1. Now this parameter you can change between miles per hour and kilometers per hour. The way you do that is you click the I button once. This allows you to change that number. So we click up or down button and it becomes kilometers per hour, see, km. And then you click it once more, miles per hour. Now if you want to save it, you just click the I button again and it's saved. Parameter 1 is blinking. We click the plus button again and we're going to go to parameter number 2. This one is kind of important. You could set how many pedal assist levels that you need. This one here is set from 0 to 5, meaning 0 means that there's no pedal, and then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They got so many different settings here, but this is what you want. But you know, if you click the I, then you could go through the different settings. 1 to 5 is nice if you don't want to have straight pedaling in the beginning. A lot of people prefer this because they don't need that 0, 1. Because every time you start up the bike, you're going to have to click from 0 to 1. And then you got 0 to 7. I don't know if you need 7 power assist settings, but it's there. And then you go through all of them. Boy, you go up to 9. Some people use, 1 to 3, but we'll keep it at 0 to 5 for beginners. It's a safe mode for you. So we click the I to save it. Now, once you click the I to save, it goes to a sub-menu of 2. This one here is kind of important. It tells you how much of the volts of the battery that you want to give to the motor at each pedal assist level. So a lot of people like to keep 20% at pedal assist 1, 40 at 2, 60 at 3, 80 at 4, and at pedal assist 5 you've got a full blast. Default is 30%. So it's going to give 30% of power when you're in pedal assist 1. I find that okay. That gives you about 8-9 miles per hour. So that's perfectly fine. And if you want to change the setting, click the I. Okay, setting power assist 2, it's at 40%, which is okay. That gets you up to about 15 miles per hour. If you don't want to go that fast, drop it down to like 35. Then you got 60%, 80, and full blast at pedal assist 5. Okay, so next we click plus button, we want to go to parameter number 3. Now, parameter number 3, I'll read to you what it is. It's used to adjust the assist sensitivity, which determines how sensitively the controller detects the assist sensor magnets passing over the sensor, thereby activating the motor. Number 2 is the highest setting. Number 9 is the lowest setting. Now, if you're starting out on e-bike, just you're a beginner, you want to set it at the lowest sensitivity possible. In this way, once you start moving, you don't get that big push all of a sudden and, cause you an accident. If you're more advanced person, then you could set this for like 02, 03, but it kind of makes sense. 09, so that you don't get that quick push right away from the motor. So the sensitivity is lower, if that makes sense. So now we're in number 4. Number 4 is called throttle grading setting. Okay, 00 means that it's not graded. 01 means it's graded. Now, if the throttle is graded, which is 01, the maximum speed is available when you're using the throttle, no matter what power assist level you're in. So if you're in power assist level number 1, as soon as you hit the throttle, you're not limited to the speed limit of pedal assist 1, which is like 9-10 miles per hour. Go automatically up to 40 miles per hour. That's pretty good, if you find yourself in a situation and you want to hit the throttle to get out of a bad situation. 01 means that when you hit the throttle, it's going to stay at the speed limit, whatever that pedal assist level is set to. That's good for beginners or people that are not familiar with the bike. And overall, you got pros and cons on either way, which way you want to go. We kept it on 00 because we don't anticipate going 40 miles per hour on power assist 1. But it determines what you want to do. 5 is to set a password. Click I, click yes, and then you click again and give it a 4-number code. You save it. We're not going to do that, so I'm going to go past it. Number 6 is simple. It's when you want the display to shut down. Default is 10 minutes. You can click the I button again. Then you could go up 11 minutes, down 10 minutes. We like 10 minutes, so click the I. It's perfectly fine. The last one is the one that people have been waiting for, I guess. Number 7 is assist soft start parameter. It's 0 to 3. 0 is the weakest soft start, and number 3 is the strongest. So for new riders or people that is unfamiliar with e-bikes, you want to keep it at 03, make it at least sensitive. So basically, when you're starting off, let's say on power assist 2, the motor does not kick in with a big rush at you. so you don't get that big push immediately, which is kind of disconcerting if like you're making a turn and then you don't want that motor kicking right away. So you want to say, give me a slow start. So that's why we got number 3. Okay, now this is the big one. So we got the 7 parameters. We got one more secret menu to get into. Now, once you're in the parameter settings like this, there's another secret menu. That's basically to hold down the plus and minus again to get into the secret menu screen. Now we're in the secret menu screen. Click the I button and you could change this to SP5 or SPN. SP5 means it's going to unlock your throttle. So now your throttle could go full blast to 42, 45 miles per hour. If you have it on SP no, then the throttle is limited to 20 miles per hour, which is in most states. So that's how you unlock the throttle. That's what most people are here for, I guess. But that's how you do it. Okay, I found out that this also will show you the cruise control. So you press the plus button on your controller. You can see cruise control pop up. When you want to stop the cruise control, you press the plus button. So basically, if you're humming along and you got the throttle, and then you says, oh, my thumb's getting tired with the throttle and you're not going to pedaling anymore, then just use the cruise control and keep it going for you. We also have a walk mode. So you see the little foot here, you press this and hold it. The motor will engage and the bike will move forward at a walking pace, so you don't have to push the bike will do it for you. And when you're through using the walk mode, just release it. So you got to keep holding down the button for it to work. As soon as you release the button, it stops. So that's it. We fine-tuned the computer to the way we're going to ride the bike. I explain all the adjustments to you, and my next video will be actually taking this on the road and show you exactly what this bike could do. If you like this bike, I do have an affiliate link set up. FUCARE will kick me back a few bucks if you purchase the bike through the link. This will help support my channel. Now, FUCARE does not sponsor me at all. I purchased this bike out of my own pocket, so just a full disclaimer. So, I hope you found this video informative. Please click the like button. When you get a chance, please subscribe. And above all, thank you for watching.